everybody. It's Safi and Marco dish out on the movies. And we are reviewing a Slappyworld book today.
No!
And actually it's pretty good.
Yeah.
There's a couple of flaws in it, but for the most part it is a good story. And a good monster. And it isn't Slappy either, which is great. Because I got kind of tired of Slappy.
It's a very simple story.
Well, it is because they leave out a couple of details. That's one of the flaws. But anyway, it is called...
You don't remember the title?
Please don't feed the weirdo.
Yeah, that's a simple title, and you're still gonna forget it?
No.
No? You just did.
No, I didn't. I remember before I was looking at this.
No, you're cheating. You're
Okay, look, Marco.
revisionist history.
No, Marco. Anyway.
So anyways, I guess I should do the plot while Safi contemplates her bad memory.
Well, I was going to look at the date. The date is 2018, in case anybody wants to know.
This book is about a boy. And he's a little questionable. His
name is Robbie.
No, his name is Jordan.
Oh, you're talking about Jordan?
Yeah,
and Carla.
the main boy.
Okay.
I just said the main fucking boy.
Well, the other...
He's a little naive, and he's got a sister, and luckily she's not a piece of shit like Tara from Cuckoo Clock of Doom. And they go to the carnival, and then, he gets really scared. I didn't know what the point of that was, where like they go on the carnival, the ride of fear or something.
The Tunnel of Fear.
The Tunnel of Fear, and they kind of rip off Shocker and Shock Street, where the brother and sister go on the ride, and then the ride stops and they're stuck. They kind of ripped that off a little bit because that was the same thing that happened in Shocker on Shock Street, except in that book it was the Tunnel of Doom. So then they walk around. Luckily there's no pedophiles around.
Their parents are there.
That doesn't matter, Safi.
And also, when they were on the Tunnel of Fear, they got stuck.
I just talked about that.
Well, what happened when that happened? What happened?
My God, Safi. You talk about it because you're so
Never
weird.
Mind.
I just went through it. I said they got stuck, and you repeated that.
Okay, so what happened then after that?
They got scared.
Yes, but the owner found them, right? And said, "I'm really sorry about that. It must have been really scary." And he said, "I hope you're not too upset." And he gave them 2 big fat candy bars.
Yeah, he bribed them.
Yeah. That was what I wanted to say.
Oh, and so I forgot, but so then they go to they walk around. Luckily, there's no pedophiles like at Disneyland, and they come across this crate that says cage that says, "Please don't feed the weirdo," and they see this little boy like them, and it's really disturbing. Actually, there's just this little boy in a cage in the middle of this carnival. And then I was thinking about when this book was written, which was 2018, and I thought, oh, I get it. R.L. Stine is trying to make a comparison to quote-unquote kids in cages.
The migrant.
And so I thought that was hilarious because obvious reasons, because it's just goofy, and it's a Goosebumps book, and he's...
But this was one kid in a cage. It says, "Please don't feed the weirdo." My God. And it was a...
And wasn't there some sort of controversy where the immigrant children, they had shitty food or something, or that they weren't fed a lot?
There was a lot to it, but it was a big to-do.
I thought that was hilarious.
But this was one child, and he looked like a waif, I guess. He had long brown hair, kept getting in his face, and he would say, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. And it said, please don't feed the weirdo. And they're just, and I mean, if you really came across something like that, you're probably calling the police.
Yeah.
And so that was just weird in and of itself. So anyway, go ahead, Marco.
They feed him, and they give him those candy bars, or at least one of them, and he eats them, and then he turns into a monster, and he breaks out of his cage and runs rampant and escapes, and the owner's like, WTF? And then the family leaves. It's pretty funny, because, like, that's one of the flaws of this book, is that the owner,
Mr. Ferber,
I'm gonna call him Mr. Gerber, he doesn't really care that much about this monster, because, like, immediately after that he's just like, WTF, and then he disappears, and then he comes back later in the book, kind of, and he's like, you guys, we gotta do something about this, and then he's at the end of the book, and he's stupid there too. Like, he is a useless adult character. He's trash.
Yeah, actually their parents were more helpful
Yeah.
and attentive and caring.
Which was surprising.
Which that doesn't usually happen.
Usually in Goosebumps, the parents are just as bad as the monsters.
Yeah. And there's two things the monster did, though, to really distinguish himself. He would start out with this, after he ate something, he would start out with this big burp, and the way the reader of the book, he did a really good job. And then he would growl, and he would puke after he did this burp and growl. And he would puke green vomit. And
no, orange vomit.
He had green fur, and he puked orange vomit.
And that was really cool, too.
It was really gross.
I
Very
thought
gross.
It reminded me of, apparently, there's a type of vulture, and they eat a bunch of stuff, and then immediately after they throw up.
That's any vulture.
And I thought it could have been really cool, since there's a Spider-Man villain called Vulture. I thought it would have been really cool and gross and creepy if, like, the Vulture character would eat people and then he would throw up, like, blood and guts everywhere.
My suggestion to you, if you read this book or listen to it, don't eat anything while you're listening to it.
Well, I disagree.
Really gross.
I ate my dinner while listening to it, and I wasn't bothered by it.
I didn't care for that. Anyway, but still, it is a good story, except for the few flaws.
It's very good. It's very fun.
It's better than probably most of the stories that we have read.
It's better than all the Slappyworld books so far, in my opinion. I don't know about Safi's weird
I think
ideas.
So too. I'm just not very happy about
the ending. That's very rushed. It's once again where the book is at a casual speed, and I enjoyed listening to the whole thing. Like, I didn't have a problem with how long it was at all.
No.
But then it gets to the end of the book, and all of a sudden, R.L. Stine is like, oh my God, I am out of time. And he starts like rushing, and he's fucking his fingers that are all used up and they're all benty and bad. He's just like, he's like, I gotta get this finished now. And it turns into like this thing at the end where, like, the endings, no matter how good they are in concept, they're bad usually because they're so rushed.
Well, this one is, it's not just that. They leave off, well.
Yeah, this one is so rushed. There's not even a Slappy part at the end of the book, like the whole gimmick for the series that Slappy and his stupid overrated ass comes in, and he talks about stuff. Like, he doesn't even do that at the end of the book.
They'll have him introduce the book, and then he'll come in and kind of like an intermission time, a few times. Like, I think on the last book he might have come in 3 times in the middle of the book.
Yeah.
And then he comes in the end and said, what do you think about? And then I ask about something that happened. He wasn't there.
So then, basically, most of this book is very, very, like, repetitive in a good way, because it's very fun and it's very suspenseful. This piece of shit monster thinks that Jordan owns him now, and so he has to take care of him and feed him. So he comes to his house, and most of the book revolves around, like, he changes into people. He can make himself look like any other character in the whole book.
Anybody, even a woman, or a girl,
even
or
an
a
adult.
boy, and a man. Anybody, and that's the problem.
So most of the book is like, you know, they're talking to people and they're like, is this the monster? Is this the person who is there? And there's some really funny and good interactions that come from that. Like, the real funny one was when they have, like, this poor friend named Bernardo, and he's really poor and he doesn't have much to eat except for your mom. And the kids are like, let's give him some food. And it's like, no, that could be the monster. And it's really funny because he's just like this poor kid, and he doesn't have anything to eat. And they're like, no, don't feed that piece of crap. Like, don't give him anything. And he's just like, what? Well, I'm just hungry. What did I do?
And it isn't just that. He has brand new twin brother and sister, and now all they have time is for him, and he's practically taking care of himself.
Yeah.
So that's part of the problem too. Like, getting his food together, he's not used to doing that.
And they gave him something gross too. And now I know that there are people who like this, but they gave him tortilla chips.
Yeah.
Like, just tortilla chips, no salsa or anything. And I'm sorry, but, like, who likes tortilla chips without salsa?
Well, I eat them, but
Yeah, I know you like
nobody,
them, but you're
people
Safi.
don't. And this was in a kid's lunch, and I don't think there would be, because this was in Jordan's lunch, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't think.
I thought, ew.
Kids, I would think, like, unless he was thinking of Doritos and he didn't want to do a product name.
Like, Jordan is the weirdo because fucking he has tortilla chips with nothing else in his lunch. Like, that is weird, Safi. That is
That wasn't
weirder.
the only thing he had for lunch.
But that was like, if a kid, like, the weirdest chip that a kid could ask for besides pork rinds
Ew.
is tortilla chips with nothing on them. That's just
The
weird.
kid was so hungry, he ate them anyway.
Yeah.
And the way they described him eating them was gross. And I thought, and then they thought, it even was for them too, the brother and the sister. And then they thought, oh no, that's the monster.
He was.
But it wasn't. He was he just was grossing them out.
That was funny.
The way he ate them.
Well, didn't they say he, like, slowly put them in his mouth or something? It was really weird the way he worded it.
It was gross.
It was
It
gross.
was nauseating.
It's like he's got to find different ways to describe how people eat, because he can't just say blank ate blank.
Right.
He's got to say he slowly edged the chip toward his soft mouth and then slowly put the first chip in between his front and lower teeth and then slowly munched down on one bite and then slobbered all over the chip and got his next bite. Like, there's these weird descriptions. Weird.
Right. And the only reason why he was doing that, R.L. Stine, was because he was trying to build up a suspense, a red herring suspense, that this might be Robbie. And Robbie is the name of the monster. So, but it wasn't. Not in that case, anyway.
So that's most of the book, and then at one point, and this was probably another questionable, Mr. Gerber, like, I think he's coming to their house, and he meets them out on the sidewalk or something, and then they have to test it with him if he's the monster, and they feed him a banana.
That's right.
And then, but all he does is literally just say, like, the time is of the essence. The monster is loose. There's nothing we can do. We've got to do something. Like, that's all he does. Like, you've seen these movies they'll always have this cliche where, like, the person who, like, in arcade when the programmer came and helped them out.
Right.
Like, this guy, he doesn't do jack shit. He just leaves.
He actually wants them to do all the work.
Yeah, but he ate their banana.
Yeah, he did. And he didn't turn into a monster, so it wasn't the monster.
He wanted a banana.
Yeah.
And so then there's probably... Should we mention, like, every little thing that happens? Because, like, we've already talked about, like, he shows up here, and he's a real, like, evil, sinister monster, too, because he's a liar. He keeps on telling the main kid, like, I will be a good boy, I promise.
And he keeps apologizing.
Sorry.
And, he feels really bad.
I'll do better next time when I rip your head off and eat it, too.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you want to jump to the end yet, but at least I won't say what happened yet. Well, I'll let Marco do that, but what happened, I thought would happen because he could change into so many people. I think you could guess what happened, too.
Oh, I didn't guess that because I thought... Wait a second, he wants Jordan to take care of him, so why would he want to replace Jordan?
Well...
Because he wants to be taken care of. He doesn't want
to... I think he was lying.
I don't know.
And also, every time he eats something, it doesn't matter what it is. I thought, well, maybe it was chocolate. Because that happened at the beginning. They gave him the chocolate, he turned into a monster and escaped. And it didn't matter what he ate. He also came to their house and they thought, well, it was just a fluke that he changed into a monster. Maybe it's because they gave him that chocolate. They gave him Honey Nut Cheerios. And then he started eating all of it and pouring it down his throat.
Yeah, that's what Safi eats, by the way.
Eating the box.
Safi's
everything.
Safi's one of those weird people who eats Cheerios.
Well, I also eat cream of wheat, but I do that in the winter.
Well, when do you like to eat cockroaches?
The first of never.
No, that's a lie, too.
Oh, Marco, please.
We've seen what you do.
Marco, stop now.
Your little chocolate sundae breakfasts.
Marco, stop now. So anyway, my guess, I thought after he changed into Mr. Gerber. He changed into their school teacher, or to Jordan's school teacher, and then he was just out in the parking lot as a monster, tearing off police car doors.
Yeah, that was funny.
And I don't know if he threw the policeman. It sounded like he did. The one who was going to go to his school and tell Mr. Gerber, why don't you catch the stupid monster and get him off the street? And I think he threw him over the other side of the parking lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't tell. But he did rip off the doors to the police car and throw him out into the parking lot.
Well, at one point, I thought the funniest climactic scene before the main thing that happened that was kind of rushed was they had this outdoor barbecue and
at
then
the house, at Jordan and Carla's house.
And then he disguised himself as the new kid in school, which was funny too because like every time he showed up, like there'd be something about him that you could tell he was probably the monster, and so it would be really funny because then you're like, he's gonna screw with Jordan again, because poor Jordan, like he's just, nobody really helps him with this monster problem. Like, it's surprising the police don't even think about, well, he's attached to Jordan, so why don't we patrol Jordan's house?
Yeah. There's another flaw.
Because, like, he's the one who let him out and everything, so, and then he came to the school in his class, so they should have figured, he's attached to Jordan. That's another reason. Why would he do that at the end? It didn't make sense.
Yeah, so...
But they had this thing where, like, the dad was cooking burgers, and he's like, I like my burgers burnt to a crisp. How do you like your burgers?
And the kid's name was Liam.
And he's like, I like them all sorts of ways. And then he just starts eating everything, and he turns into a monster.
And he messed with the grill. They almost burned everything down there, and the parents were having a fit because they realized it was really the monster. But at least they're not blaming Jordan.
Yeah, like it's a Slappy book.
Yeah, at least they're really upset and really worried and mad. They want to catch it. And so Jordan comes up with a plan. And the following day, they're actually going to have a school, party / picnic at that carnival place. So they go see Mr. Gerber, and Jordan tells him his plan.
The plan is a stupid plan.
It is a stupid plan.
If they had titles for the chapters, they could have had chapter whatever, a stupid plan. Yeah, which would be a parody off of A Simple Plan, which I haven't seen, that movie. Jordan's plan, which you can't even really call it a plan, because plans have, like, details, and people think about all of what could happen and then plan backup plans, all sorts of things. But no, his plan is to go to the picnic, and then if the monster shows up, then he will notify Mr. Gerber and the carnival workers, and they will throw a net over whoever Jordan suspects is the monster, and then they catch him before he can eat something. Like that's his master plan.
It's a terrible plan.
Like, because, wow. Like, so many things could go wrong with that. To the point where even the main character is mentioning that things could go wrong. And it's like, yeah, it's a stupid idea. It's idiotic. It's something that, it's kind of like, oh boy, we got to rush this to an end. So let's figure out a way to just get it over with.
Well, so they have this nice picnic with, they said cupcakes and cookies and then sandwiches and all kinds of stuff. And but nothing happens. The monster doesn't show up. He had promised not to, and he didn't, because he has a plan of his own. And that is Bernardo and Jordan decide, well, the monster hasn't showed up, and Bernardo wants to go to the tunnel of whatever. Fear. And so they go in. But guess who else is there?
Jordan.
Jordan's there.
Oh, wait. Jordan's already there. Oh, it's the monster. He's pretending to be Jordan. And then guess what? Mr. Gerber and his idiot workers, they catch the real Jordan and lock him up in a cage. Kids in cages. It's just like that fucking
Immigrant
Boy in Striped Pajamas movie where the German kid goes in the concentration camp and then they think he's a Jewish person. And so then he gets put in the gas chamber with the Jewish kid.
Oh boy.
You don't remember that?
No, I think I can't.
The Boy in the Striped Pajamas.
Yeah.
It's just like that, except in this one, the monster, he gets to, quote unquote, live as Jordan, which would never happen because
it's not going to last 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And the story's over. Now.
Yeah, it just
ends.
Story's over. It's like, bye-bye.
Jordan's in a cage now, all locked up, the real one.
Kids in cages.
And then the other Jordan, the moment he eats anything, he's going to turn into a monster. They're going to know it's not him.
He's going to throw up everywhere, too.
He can't control it. He promised to over and over. He never could. He can't control it. He can't control his eating. So it's not going to work. And there's no ending. He could have put that in there. I don't understand it. And it just irritated me. What happened was what I thought would happen. But it couldn't last. If he had the ability to control himself, that'd be one thing. But there was no mention ever.
And it was funny because Safi, as soon as I gave her the book and she was on chapter 22, immediately she's like, you know what I think is what's going to happen?
I was thinking about it while I did the dishes.
The monster's going to become Jordan. That was really hilarious because, like, it's like, yeah, well, that's what happens. But it doesn't make sense. It's not...
No, not at all.
Written well.
It doesn't matter what he changes into. Whatever he changes into, he's going to turn into a monster and throw up as soon as he eats anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter what it is. He could eat a box and do that. He could eat a piece of plastic and he could do that. He was eating sandwiches in plastic bags. So he was eating plastic too. So that's a stupid ending. I mean, he could have finished it.
It would have worked if it was better, like if he could control himself. Like it could have been a really dark ending, and an ending that's like, oh, what's going to happen to this kid? Like they're going to take him to a lab and then experiment on him, and like that's really like dark, twisted, creepy ending. But they couldn't pull it off because it's not going to work.
Well, he was going to do something with him, and that's what it sounded like they were going to. See, that was another flaw with the book.
I wouldn't consider that.
Come from?
I wouldn't consider that a huge flaw. They said that he was a monster being sent to a government lab or something.
Oh, so he was going to go to a lab.
Yeah, they said that like early on in the book one time, and that's it.
Yeah, I think I remember that. So where'd he come from?
But I didn't really mind that because I just thought it was a good story all on its own. Like
it was a good story.
It didn't matter that they didn't have that. But I did think, like, this could use a sequel.
Yep.
Definitely. What could they call it? They couldn't.
I don't know, Weirdo Part 2 or...
Weirdo Part 2. That's a terrible title.
It is a terrible title. Return of the Weirdo.
Return of the Weirdo. What about only weirdos eat something, or I don't know.
No, that's not true. He can eat anything. Anything. That's the thing. That's why it's not going to last 2 seconds. The moment he has something to eat, and he's always hungry too, always. And the moment he gets something to eat, he's going to change.
Yeah, there's one part where he shows up like that kid in Salem's Lot. He shows up at the window, and he's like, Jordan, I'm really hungry. Can you feed me something to keep me full until breakfast? And he's like, fuck off. I'm going to a picnic tomorrow. You leave me alone. And he's like, okay, good night.
I don't know. But that kind of made me mad. And then Marco pointed out, too, like we said, Slappy did not appear at the end of the book to finish it off. That is very unusual.
He's supposed to do that for every book.
He's done that for every other book. And we read other books ahead. I don't know why we did that, but we did. And then we've read the books that came before this.
Well, because
they all had that.
Because the point was that they were new releases.
Oh, yeah.
So they would get more views, probably.
Okay, but still... So we've read books before this one and after them, and Slappy was in them all at the end, all of them.
Yeah.
So that was another thing.
I guess he wasn't allowed to. He had to rush it to an end.
That's what I mean. That's just...
They do that with everything now. They do it with television, movies, and books.
But this is like... I mean, this is a huge thing. It's just, I don't know. I really couldn't believe it.
I mean, all he had to do is come in at the end and say, hey guys, I'm the flamboyant Slappy. I'm not gay, but I probably am. And I like to look at myself in the mirror because I'm really pretty and cute. And you can lick me like a stamp. And this story was good. That's all he had to do. And he couldn't even do that. Like, it was too hard.
No, I didn't get that. And Marco also said that whenever there's a problem near the end and somebody gets into a problem, like this was a problem for the real Jordan, they play this music.
Yeah, that's what's really funny.
A key
like
thing.
This music in the audiobook, it's like a depressing like tune, it's basically it's just a song that says like you are fucked and that is the end of the story. Like It's really funny. It's like din 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 din, and it's like that's a sign that you're fucked. That's Earl Stine saying like have fun with that.
The only thing I could think that's comparable to it would be in Jaws when they are, and even in Psycho when you have that warning music. But still, that's more of a warning music and not an ending.
I wish that I could just get that music all by itself and then just play it at the end of this video or something for fun. Because it's so funny, like, whenever it comes on, it's like, uh-oh.
Yeah, it's, So anyway, that is the book, and a lot of stuff happens. We're not going to go over every little thing. But, the monster goes to the school. We already said that, but things happen in the school. And, like he changed into his teacher, and there's just all kinds of stuff, and it's really
fun.
It's fun. It's a really good book with all that because it's different.
It's so much better than Slappy does stuff.
Yeah,
the kids get in trouble.
And it was a different monster too.
Slappy does stuff. The kids get in trouble again.
Yeah, this time, the kids do not get in trouble. Their parents are completely supportive and on their side. And
I give this book a B+.
Well, I'm going to give it a B because I think it's ridiculous that they left out at the end like that when that's an impossible ending.
Well, it's because I really enjoyed it, and I feel like all the other books that we've read have flaws, and
they have big flaws.
Yeah, they have bigger flaws.
Excuse you. Yeah, they do.
And it just feels like, even though this book has a couple of flaws, it's very enjoyable.
It is enjoyable.
And it was easy to read. It wasn't like Attack of the Jack where they had this complicated, weird plot where
that wasn't good at all.
The monkey drives the boat and the...
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. He goes away. You never see him again.
Let's forget about that.
Yeah.
Forever.
The only good thing about it was the lighthouse.
They could have a sequel to this called Only Weirdos Eat Clam Sandwiches or Clam Rolls, because those kids in that Attack of the Jack eating clam rolls, they're children. Like, I could understand them eating lobster rolls, but clam rolls?
Well, I would like anybody out there, if you live on the East Coast, because I don't know where else this would happen, and you eat, unless they have it out on the West Coast, like in California or something, if you eat clam rolls, let me know. Or know of children who eat clam rolls.
It's fine. I would understand adults eating it, but little kids. Like when I was a kid, I wouldn't eat quiche. Yeah. And certain things. Like I wouldn't eat certain things that just, they seem pretty weird. Quiche looked really weird. And a bunch of other things too. Like I didn't like eating while watching certain movies. Like if I put on a really gory movie, I would have trouble eating strawberry jelly because it reminded me of gore.
Oh.
And so like there's no way you'd have kids who are weird enough to eat clam rolls unless they're the weirdo from this book. What are you writing down? Marco hates quiche?
No, I remember that. So anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers.
You're
more than welcome.
Tomorrow we will be reviewing another full moon movie. This one, I hope Safi does not look up anything about it because it will. I want to see what she thinks it is. It'll be really funny when she finds out. It's a movie called Sorceress of Suburbia, and she chose it actually, and so you know, it's her choice.
That's fine.
So
anyway, goodbye everybody.
Bye.